Still not totally sure how I work yet. Welcome to the St. Canard Files, a Darkwing Duck podcast. We're your hosts, Mike Russo and
Tiffany Silverbraun.
And back with us again to do part 2 of Dangerous Currency is Stan. Welcome back, Stan.
Thanks for having me back.
All right, folks, we're going to make this one a little bit shorter. Tiffany has a lot going on tonight, so we're going to dispense with the pre-talk today and jump right into the issue. But everyone doing good tonight?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Awesome. So today we're talking about, like I said, part 2 of Dangerous Currency, which takes place in issue 17 of Darkwing Duck, which was published in October 2011. Second to last issue of Darkwing, guys.
Yep.
It's kind of sad, but we know we've got lots of Joe books coming our way.
Penultimate.
That's what that word was created for. And I also want to point out this issue, this art was only by James Silvani this time. So yeah. I don't know what the deal was with having 2 artists last issue, but this time it's just Silvani. And if he's listening, hi James, how's it going? We have 2 covers, as we always do. Tiffany, tell everyone about what cover A looks like.
Cover A has a kind of nervous-looking Darkwing in the middle of all of the Beagle Boys, including Ma Beagle, the Ducktales version of the Beagle Boys.
Okay, can I just say that I absolutely love this cover? Like this cover speaks to me.
Yeah, I love this one too.
Because it's right. It's correct. Again, I don't know what happened last issue. Maybe one day James will tell us why the Beagle Boys were generic. But this cover tells me the original plan for the story arc had the actual DuckTales Beagles in it. And this cover hits everybody. We have all 7 of the main DuckTales Beagles. We got Ma Beagle. There's Megabyte Beagle from Super DuckTales. There's like Grandpa Beagle, and I think he was comics only. Mm-hmm. And a couple of like generic ones in the bottom right, left there, which, you know, you barely see them. But everybody's here: Babyface, Bugle, Bank Job, and like the main ones that we all know.
And even the Director Beagle. He was from the Launchpad for Hire episode, wasn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, which one was it? That's Bugle Beagle.
No, the one on the left with the like. Beret.
Oh, Bank Job. Yeah, it's Bank Job Beagle. And of course, you got my favorite Baggy Beagle over there, looking stupid as ever. Then meanwhile, another cool cover is cover B. Stan, what does cover B look like?
So cover B appears to be an homage to the Adventures in Babysitting poster.
Yay!
And it's got Launchpad and Huey, Dewey, and Louie, Webby, Goslin, and Honker all on a rope scaling a building with St. Canard in the background. Webby's kind of hanging on the LP, as is Louie, you know, and it looks like Dewey's hanging on the Goslin.
And Honker's at the very bottom, like with the rope tied around his waist.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that, I guess, references the comic book.
And this is beautifully drawn by Sabrina Alberghetti. You know, she really does know how to draw these characters perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a broken record. I absolutely adore Silvani's stuff because he has his own style. Although that Ma Beagle he drew on cover A is perfect.
Yeah.
But Sabrina is show accurate, like 100%.
Yeah, I actually don't know which cover I like better. These are both so great.
Yeah.
I like them both for different reasons, but I think A edges it out just because of the show accurate Beagle Boys, which is a huge rarity. But, okay, so those are our 2 covers. So why don't we start talking about the plot? And we're picking up exactly where we left off. Stan, what is going on in St. Canard?
So our main characters are looking out across at a transformed St. Canard, and they're trying to figure out a plan on what to do. And Scrooge comes up with one, which Darkwing amends slightly because he knows how they're going to actually break into Quackworks. But the plan is Darkwing, Gyro, and Scrooge will infiltrate Quackworks. Meanwhile, Honker and the Junior Woodchucks will investigate the slime with Launchpad as protection.
Right. Goslin, too.
Yeah.
Okay, so entrusting 5 children with Launchpad. That's a really smart idea.
It's like 6 children.
Yeah, it's like 6 children. And some of the children are more mature than the pilot is. And it does go wrong, as we're going to see at the very end of this issue. But yeah, Darkwing knows how to infiltrate Quackworks. So in the next scene, we get a little, you guys mentioned, and it is absolutely true, that I was wrong, and this issue is super reference heavy.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of them, and we're starting right away. Like, we got a couple of Snow White references in this meeting room of the poison apple and the raven on top of the skull.
Yep.
That's right, from Snow White. There's the clock from Haunted Mansion. Anybody recognize what this door is from in the back of the room?
The doors from Haunted Mansion too.
And the leg of the table is Oogie Boogie's face.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Darkwing, Gyro, Scrooge, and Little Bulb crash through the window, and like this whole rash. Yeah, exactly. And Scrooge, as he's been doing this entire story, is getting on Darkwing's case constantly. What do they find, Stan? Sitting in a box.
They find a box that is labeled Secret Plans. That doesn't sound like it's suspicious.
No, but it is. Should be.
Yep.
Because what is it?
Inside the box is the Quackerjack doll.
From Toy With Me.
Yep.
No sooner do they find the Quackerjack doll than ink starts spilling out of the ceiling. Or is it coming out of the sprinkler system?
It looks like it's out of the sprinkler system.
So everyone hides under the table.
Which has another reference.
Yeah, what is the reference?
It looks to be one of the mayor's faces from Nightmare Before Christmas.
It does. Yeah. It does. In fact, in the bottom panel, you see one of those dolls from Nightmare Before Christmas, the one that was chasing the kid.
Yeah.
Yep.
A creepy doll. Okay, so who makes his triumphant return to the comics?
Well, folks, it's playtime because Quackerjack is back.
But Tiffany, is he quite the Quackerjack we remember?
No, he's like a Jack-in-the-Box version of Quackerjack with a little Mr. Banana Brain that looks like he's at the controls of like this Jack-in-the-Box tank sort of thing.
And when you say it's a Jack-in-the-Box Quackerjack, he literally is. He has no lower body. He's an upper body on a spring. Which is creepy.
Like Twilight Zone style.
Yeah, or like Homer with his head on the Jack-in-the-Box.
Yeah. Twilight Zone reference.
Exactly. So, Quackerjack's brought along a couple of friends. Stan, who are the friends?
Well, Megavolt, who we've seen before, and a new and improved Liquidator, who now has the ability to shoot hot and cold water.
Which is weird, because couldn't he do that anyway? I don't see it.
Yeah, I thought he could as well.
I mean, he turned the water boiling. I don't remember him freezing it, but he definitely boiled the water.
Yeah.
But I guess if he can boil it, he can freeze it too.
Probably.
But his arms are giant faucets that say hot and cold.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, Launchpad and the kids are walking around the transformed St. Canard. And more references. We got a ton of things all over the ground. Tiff, you want to point out a bunch of them for us?
Yeah, you got the doll from Lilo and Stitch. You got Goofy's hat, and it looks like the Rocketeer's helmet. And is that a compass from Treasure Planet?
I think so. On the upper panel, there's one of Cinderella's shoes, Woody's hat,
Yep.
Peter
Oh,
Pan's hat, and a jar that says "Drink Me."
Yeah, and
a honey
pot,
jar.
and yeah, and
Whenever Silvani doesn't know what to add to a scene, he always adds a honey pot.
and then you got the hook from Captain Hook, I'm guessing too.
Yeah, what's that thing under the hook? It looks familiar, but I have no idea what it is.
I think that's part of Honker's thing that he's holding. I thought it was the ground too at first. But...
Oh, right. It's his dowsing rod.
Yep.
It looked familiar, but okay. So he makes a dowsing rod. Everybody's proud of him. Everybody congratulates him. Awesome, Honker rules. So impressive, brilliant. And then we get the most out of left field thing in the issue. That's, I think, is the funniest thing in the story.
Definitely.
This story actually stops for a joke, and I love it for it. Tiffany, what do they encounter?
A talking evil sentient lamppost named Fred.
That's so great. Does anybody, now I hear a voice for this guy. Does anybody else have a voice in their head for this evil lamppost?
Not particularly.
Tiff?
I don't.
Remember the Quackernomicon book from by Valentine Gould?
Quacky.
Who had that Howard Morris book? Don't you know? I feel like that's how this lamppost would talk.
I can hear that.
We have more stuff in the rubble, including Cusco's hat and a blaster from Lilo and Stitch.
Yep.
And Jiminy Cricket's hat and cane.
Yep, and I think what might be a dingle hopper.
And you got lady's collar.
Boy, was I wrong. He is really going reference crazy. So Goslin picks up a rock and throws it into the light on the lamp, and the lamp screams, "My light! I can't breathe! I think. I'm still not totally sure how I work yet." And Huey makes a comment that he's never seen a girl do that before.
Yeah, that was kind of strange.
I mean...
Kind of, except they were so bad with, like, I don't know, sexism on Ducktales with Webby and stuff that it kind of makes sense, I guess.
I mean, once in a while, Beakley could be a badass, but they really toned her down into, like, nothing but Fat Joke City by the end of that show.
Yeah.
Like, in, like, her origin serial, like, she stopped that walrus by herself and snapped Scrooge out of gold fever, and she was hardcore. But, like, she never came that close to being that cool again. So when Huey says he's never seen something like that before, I actually kind of believe it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop it from being ridiculously sexist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Especially the expression Goslin's giving.
Yeah. Get used to it, Red.
They could have made it funnier, I guess, like pointing out the sexism from DuckTales. But it's all right.
So meanwhile, we cut back to the adults, because Launchpad is not an adult. We cut back to the adults in the side of the Quackworks building. Stan, what's happening here?
So they're deciding to scale to the top because they think that Magica is probably in the penthouse. And they're crawling up the side of the building, which is covered in plants, because we have the fourth member of the Fearsome Four that we hadn't seen yet, a upgraded bushroot.
And can I say Gyro is totally out of his element here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's weird too. Like they never have Gyro in the middle of the action.
Well, he has nothing to say. We have 4 panels with him and he doesn't say a word. But Bushroot's attacking them with various Venus flytrap vines all over the building. Almost like Biolante from one of the Godzilla movies. I don't know if either of you even know that reference, Tiff.
I actually own that movie, but I've not watched it yet.
It's really cool. For a later Godzilla movie, it's really awesome. And Godzilla fights a giant rose and then later a giant Venus flytrap. And that's just what this reminds me of.
Well, maybe I'll put it on my to-do list sooner than I planned.
Let me know what you think of it. Anyway, Darkwing uses the gas gun, hits Bushroot in the face with it, and they're able to scale the rest of the building.
Yep.
We do get a suck gas evildoer. Another issue goes by with no intro, though, from him.
Yep.
Okay, so back to the 6 children. So what do they find?
They finally
slime. It's
Yeah,
a river of slime.
the slime supply.
I said 6 children. There's actually 7 of them. Sorry, my bad. Math wasn't my strong suit. Yeah, so they're underground. It's a river of slime. So what happens next, Tiff?
Then Huey, Dewey, and Louie go to grab a sample, and there's another moment where where Webby is talking to Goslin about, why didn't she go down there? And I don't know. I feel like they're trying to like make a point, but it doesn't quite hit about like girls doing things.
Can you really picture, like, maybe like in an episode, Webby actually interacting with Goslin? Like, something seems so off about that.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
I'm going to tell you this, really, and, we have 2 more issues, but I'll just say it now that we're really on the topic. Everybody wants that DuckTales Darkwing crossover of the original series, but just I feel like those shows were so different characterization and humor-wise that just something feels fundamentally wrong with these characters getting together. That's just me.
I mean, yeah, you'd have to change something. You couldn't have them be purely DuckTales characters and purely Darkwing characters because it doesn't quite work in the same universe.
Which is the problem we're having with Darkwing and Scrooge. It just isn't working for me.
Yeah.
But then we get like an internal monologue from Launchpad, who's so upset that his 2 heroes hate each other. And again, Launchpad's being way too introspective. Like he would be thinking how hungry he was for a hippo burger.
Yeah.
Probably. I did want to ask, did either of you think the panel where the boys are trying to get the sample of slime, did that remind you of the scene from the opening of DuckTales?
From the Treasure of the Golden Suns?
Where they're trying to scramble up the side of a cliff, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's from Send in the Clones.
Oh.
When Huey's going up the cliff.
Yeah, because it seems to remind me of that scene.
Well, whenever like Huey, Dewey, and Louie make a duck stack like that, there's so many scenes in DuckTales where they do that. That
Duck stack.
Duck stack. Woo! So something starts to rumble, and we cut away from Launchpad and the kids.
So
back
we
to
hear a splash.
a splash
Yeah.
and an rarg or something like
And
that.
that will
But
be important later.
it definitely will be. So now we're in Quackworks, and Darkwing is confronted right by his office. And, we have a whole bunch more references. The only one I know that really jumps out at me is the Mad Hatter's hat.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's just a bunch of other stuff. Megavolt's left behind some batteries. I think that was his desk.
Yeah.
I'm surprised there's no Brave Little Toaster references.
Although Darkwing mentions he worked there when he wanted to give Goslin a normal life, and Scrooge makes a comment that, sitting around earning an honest dollar is the first smart thing he's heard him say. But then, Stan, who's in the room calling for help.
It is GIZMODUCK, which doesn't make a lot of sense because I know they took the Gizmo suit, but Fenton wasn't in the Gizmo suit when they took it, so why would they put him in it?
Good question. And even chained up, you think he'd be able to use his...
Yep.
I mean, I don't know.
And then also, but I will say this, like, you still have all these problems in this issue with Scrooge's dialogue. It doesn't really sound like Scrooge, but I totally hear GIZMODUCK.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like Alan Young's dialogue was always very nuanced, so it's really hard to hear Scrooge if he's not written just right. But I can easily hear Hamilton Camp in my head.
Yeah.
So before they can help GIZMODUCK, a giant platform bursts out of the ground, and we get literally all our villains, including the Phantom Blot.
Yep.
And do any of these guys do a single thing in this entire scene?
No.
I mean, this League of Evil brings together all these female villains and doesn't do a damn thing with them.
Yeah.
It's such a shame. And even the male villains just stand there and do nothing.
Yep.
But I guess that would get in the way of what comes next, which is what, Stan?
Well, they want to see what's going to happen when a friend gets the ink on him. Hence, the GIZMODUCK gets it on him.
Yup. And what does GIZMODUCK turn into? This is actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
A giant fanged version of GIZMODUCK with phantom blot eyes on his symbols and lots of weapons. Enough weapons here probably to make even Negaduck a little jealous.
And GIZMODUCK never had chainsaws and dynamite as weapons. It was like pies and skunks and stuff like that.
I love it so much because you never got to see like a Nega GIZMODUCK.
So Silvani has drawn one.
Yeah,
it's cool.
It's awesome, his drawing.
You know, Silvani's art saves even the weakest issues. It really does.
Yeah.
So he swings his weapons at, you know, the good guys. Actually, conks. Does he actually hit Gyro in the head with a mace?
I think he does.
How did that not kill him?
I'm not sure. That mace was covered in spikes. So
see, this is my other problem with these characters getting together. The Darkwing characters operate on Toon logic, and the Ducktales characters don't.
Yeah.
So when Gyro gets hit in the head by a spiked mace, on Ducktales, that would have killed him.
Yeah.
So then we get some panels of the villains talking to each other, and that's literally all they do is talk to each other. And I know something that probably drives you crazy, Tiffany, is that Liquidator just talks.
Yep.
Like, just talks.
No ad speak.
Nothing. It's like someone didn't know how to write for him.
Yeah, well, that's what they always said, was that he was the most difficult to write for.
But they could have tried.
Yeah.
And, you know, how the League of Evil are talking about how the men are sniping at each other, and Magica tells them to just wait, but I don't know, wait for what? Because it's not like we see Cinnamon Teal, Ammonia Pine, and Camille do anything in this story. Which is a shame. I would have liked to have seen Camille do something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did she even change?
No, I don't think so. Okay, so Darkwing is grabbed by the, you know, Nega GIZMODUCK. And that's when Darkwing he has some of the worst dialogue of any Boom comic here.
Yeah.
And I am going to read it verbatim, because whenever Darkwing has really badly characterized dialogue, I always do read it. He says to GIZMODUCK, "I just wanted to say I liked you. I may not have shown it, but that might be because, wow, you seem to have it all. You always acted so humbly. Maybe I hated that attitude because I wish I had a little bit of it. I guess I do. I guess I have to do this. I wish we could have switched places. You probably think of something better." Does that sound anything like Darkwing Duck?
No.
This is like my biggest problem with the whole issue.
No matter the circumstances, he would never say those words to GIZMODUCK.
There's no way.
He might thank him.
I don't think he would say it to anyone, and he definitely wouldn't say it to Fenton.
He might thank him and say they made a good team, but he would never say he liked him. He would never say he was jealous of him, and he would absolutely never say he wishes they can switch places.
Yeah.
Okay, Stan. What happens now?
So, courtesy of a communication to Agent 44, Mama Crackshell is dropped into the scene in one of the worst breaks in continuity ever.
I will say it is really amazing to see Mama Crackshell, because she is always ignored. Like, anything Ducktales, like the old comics, everything, the greater Ducktales later season canon is never spoken of. You never see her. You never see Gandra D. So it's really great to see her.
Yeah, I love her as a character so much, and I love the dynamic between her and Fenton. It's like,
I'm one of those fans who have a problem, who doesn't have a problem that Fenton took over the show, because he brought over his own little universe of characters with him. Yeah. And spiced up that series that really kind of needed it after 65 episodes.
Yeah, I love
I'm okay with it. But I'm going to let Stan say what the continuity problem is here.
So the continuity problem is that Mama Crackshell apparently doesn't know that Fenton is GIZMODUCK.
Bull. She wore the suit at least twice.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not the biggest Ducktales fan, and even I know that.
And didn't she like wash it and make it tiny?
She shrunk it in the new Gizmo Kids on the Block, and then she built him a garbage duck suit.
Yep.
There is an animation mistake when she drops on Fenton's head. Do you notice that Fenton's lips have lipstick on them?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not notice that.
When she's dropped on him, it's couch TV and all.
Yeah.
She has
there's also a mug which I think has Stitch on it.
Yeah, that's Stitch, definitely. But her chewing him out negates the effects of the ink. So Fenton's back to being Fenton somehow.
I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I think that's funny.
Yeah, it is explained at least in the next issue. Okay, so finally the villains actually get to attack, not the League of Evil, but the other villains, the Beagle Boys and the Fearsome Four. But GIZMODUCK turns on one of his rotary fans, blows them all away, grabs everybody, and flies out the building with them.
And I love Mama's face the whole time.
She is unimpressed.
But GIZMODUCK his dialogue is perfect. Like, you see, the mild-mannered bean counter you knew has a very different side to him. This bean counter can zip, zap, and zap pow with the best of them.
Yeah.
It's real. You hear it. You hear GIZMODUCK is back. You hear it.
Yeah, his dialogue is great in this.
And I feel like Silvani knows we've been waiting this 17 issues for GIZMODUCK because the drawings of him are perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I love how he gets them all out of the building and then everybody falls.
Yeah.
Although Darkwing's out of character again. Like, he says, no problem. Thanks, GIZMODUCK. Which is fine. But then he goes, seriously, thanks. Which is...
Yeah.
Maybe he would say it quick under his breath, but he wouldn't say it twice.
Mm-hmm.
Say, you old curmurgeon, I thought you didn't want to be a team. Well, I didn't say that out loud.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Out loud.
Totally.
That is more Darkwing. Okay, so Tiffany, how do we end this issue?
So you hear Launchpad saying, "It got him. It got the kids."
Hey, look, there's Fred.
Yep.
And then you see a crazy, like, transformed version of the kids into Disney villains, which are Chernbog, Monstro, Maleficent, and Willie the Giant, I guess.
What I don't understand is only the nephews were trying to get into the ink. So what happened? Why did it also happen to Honker?
I think Honker was standing near the ledge. I think the ledge gave way and dropped the three nephews and Honker into the slime.
I'll buy that.
That's my guesstimate.
So then it's got the monsters holding the girls thing. Webby is in
Huh? I was gonna say very King Kong.
Yes, definitely.
Well, I'll buy that for $3.99. And I did twice. Oh no, 3 times because I also bought the paperback version of it too.
Yeah.
Which is I think the second rarest. No, go ahead, Stan. I didn't mean.
I was gonna say I'm sure the trade paperback cost you a bit more than $3.99 though.
No,
Yeah.
but I didn't. But I bought it when it was new, so thank God I didn't overpay for that.
Yeah.
Which I would say probably the second rarest of all the Boom and Joe book stuff, right? It's definitely definitively dangerous, then dangerous currency as far as rarity goes, I think.
I think so, though somewhere in that mix is Darkwing Duck Classics Volume 1.
Yeah, I haven't been following that because it's just old material, so I really have no idea how much that's going for these days. Do you have any idea, Stan?
I'm not sure. I think somewhere between 70 to 90.
So that puts it in the Marvel issue 10 ballpark then.
Around there, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that fluctuates. Sometimes you get lucky finding issue 10 for pretty low, and then sometimes there are sellers who want hundreds for it.
Yep.
It's super crazy. So let's rate this issue out of 5 gas gun canisters. Stan, why don't you start?
I'm going to give this one a 2.
All right.
I think, again, there was potential there. Like, I would have loved to have seen this comic rewritten and maybe some of the problematic panels redrawn, because I think it could have worked, but the execution is flawed. There's too many large continuity errors, strange bits of dialogue.
Yeah.
It falls apart.
Tiff?
All right, so I actually kind of like this one. So, but I can't rate it that high because the continuity error and that dialogue between Gizmo and Darkwing. I'm gonna give it if I can do this, a 2 3/4.
That's fine.
I'm sure that's allowed. I mean, Will's given a score of infinity before.
I think he's given like fraction scores too. I'm pretty sure he's done it, but he's also done crazy infinity scores as well. So
yeah, there's a lot of stuff I like in it, and I really like the art in it, and it's just like what Stan said. Like, it could have been really good if it was rewritten. I think it could have been a really good issue.
I'm giving this a 2.5, which is a half gas canister higher than the last issue, which is I was surprised I actually went higher. Mainly because I'm a sucker for anything with an accurate GIZMODUCK.
Yeah.
This is like our one chance ever to see Mama Crackshell back.
Yeah.
And Fred the Living Lamppost is a really funny joke.
Yeah.
So that's enough to bring it up. But I do think a lot of the out of character crap is really annoying. I don't like the Webby Goslin thing. I don't like Scrooge. I don't like Darkwing apologizing to GIZMODUCK and all that nonsense. As far as I remember, because I haven't gone through the next 2 issues, I think it does go downhill from here. I think this may be the strongest out of the 4 issues. And to give it a 2.5, that's not saying much.
Yeah.
All right, so that's issue 17. Next episode, we're going to be doing flip-flopping back to Ducktales, issue 6 for part 3 of Dangerous Currency.
Which was the final issue of the DuckTales comic.
Yeah, it was a very short-lived... Boom gave the Disney Afternoon titles a shot, but nothing quite got to the heights of Darkwing. Yeah, I think Rescue Rangers had great art, but I heard it had terrible writing.
Yeah, that I think lasted for 8 issues.
And
I don't think I read any of those.
I didn't either.
I've read them before. I've got all the issues, but I probably will have to reread them again. I can't really remember them.
And the DuckTales, like I said last week, the rightful owners, those first 4 issues, the art goes from great to abysmal, and the writing is really crummy. I feel like Boom got excited when Darkwing was doing well and just greenlit all this other stuff. But without Silvani and Sparrow initially spearheading Darkwing, they didn't really have the heart to really do a good job with it.
Right.
And I think it just makes all of the Boom stuff look weaker because there's so much of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, before we wrap up for the night, let's do another mini review. Tiffany, what have you got for us tonight?
All right. So I always try to relate it somewhat to my feelings towards the comics.
Okay.
So, Paradox.
Okay. How is that related? I'm really missing the...
Yeah, it's just basically my feelings towards it. So I really liked the episode when I was a kid, and now it's like I love everything that happens in it, but I think it's executed poorly, and I have a lot of problems with the way that it was done. But I love what happens in it, and
Care to elaborate with the problems?
I just think that it's not directed very well. Like, the animation isn't that great at all. It looks I don't know how to describe this right, but it looks really empty. Like there's a lot of like dead space in like the way that it looks.
Well, I guess we can chalk that up to being an early Sun Wu episode.
Yeah.
A lot of those early Sun Wus don't hold up that well. They get better. I am just really quickly checking the credits for this one because I forgot who wrote it. Doug Langdale. He was a pretty decent writer.
Yeah, I mean the story, like what happens in it is awesome, but it's just, I don't know. I think there's problems. I think I'm also like an Elvis fan, so I do like that they have this somewhat like Elvis reference thing.
But I don't care for that character though.
That's what I was gonna say, but I don't really like the character. It's like I like the idea and the concept of going that way, but I don't think it worked.
I feel like everything in that episode leads up to the end. It's like biding its time to the musical number.
Yeah.
And there is like some Darkwing Duck episodes really balance dialogue with action. This one feels like nobody shuts up through most of it. And combine that with just Sun Wu. And I can understand how someone could get frustrated with it.
Yeah.
Stan, do you have any opinions on? Oh, sorry, Tiff. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like the guitar as a weapon is like cool, but it's not explained at all what it's doing or what it does or anything about it, and I feel like that's a missed opportunity too.
I mean, as an adult, my assumption is just the riffs are strong enough to break things. But since this is a show aimed at children, my guess is the guitar is supposed to be firing lasers because it is still a kid's show.
Yeah.
Which, if that's the case, I think it's a little bit less smart. If it was just he was a bad guitar player and whenever he strummed the guitar, he broke things, that's a great joke in itself. But I think the intent is just it's a magic guitar. And if you're not going to explain that, don't do that.
Yeah, it doesn't just break things. So there's that part where he like strums it and it like perfectly puts the tires like on top of Darkwing. So it's like, wait, does it control things too?
It's a magic guitar. Stan, do you have any opinions of this episode?
I'm not the biggest fan of it, to be honest. I wasn't a fan of the King character. You know, I've seen better time travel stories. The art wasn't that great, but I will say that there were some interesting concepts in it. And Tiffany, I will say that you at least have enunciated your feelings on it far better than some other reviewer I saw once that described it.
Well, some reviewers hate Bearskin Thug, and I can't wrap my brain around that one. That's a perfect Darkwing and Gosling episode. I'm sorry. But I will say the Darkwing musical number at the end is very cool.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of the direction, animation, and staging in that is excellent.
Yeah.
Especially for Sun Wu. Like I love Darkwing, Gosling, and Drakey on the surfboard in silhouette.
Yep.
That's a great shot. And then Darkwing trapping the King in the piano and then blowing it up is really good. Really good too.
Yeah, the piano.
Plus the tune sounds good.
Yep.
Oh, I wish Jim Cummings got to sing more as Darkwing.
I know.
That would have been really nice if he could have gotten a few more chances to sing.
Well, maybe we'll see what happens.
Let's not get our hopes up. Okay. Okay, so that said, we are the St. Canard Files, a Darkwing Duck podcast. You can find us on all podcast apps, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, Google, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, or you can go watch us on YouTube. If you do that, subscribe and share, too. That would help. Stan, is there anything you want to plug or shout out tonight?
Not particularly.
Okay, so Tiff?
I guess just my my Instagram at Tiffany Silverbraun, and Regurgitating Gertie, and my YouTube at Radioact Tiffany and CarneyTube.
All right, so we'll see everyone back here next week for part 3 of Dangerous Currency. And until then, everybody have a great day and stay dangerous.
Stay dangerous, everyone.
And watch out for talking evil lampposts. There might be one right behind you. Watch out. Good night, everybody.